Anyway, Nathan. Hi, guys. So good to have you both back after what seemed a very long break. Well, it was, wasn't it? I really like how you talked about how you could change the rules of the game to speed it up and make it more attractive to watch. We saw on the weekend that overall the small rule changes have improved the game.
Big question mark there, but yeah, go on.
My question is, what other rule changes would you make moving forward to improve the game? Many thanks.
I think this is one where I think he's talking about the fact that World Rugby have come out and they've given all these rule advice. So,
Yes.
well, we would like you after COVID to try and speed up the game with these rule changes.
Yeah.
The New Zealand competition have gone, well, no, they're rubbish. We're going to do our own thing.
Yeah. So what were the rule changes that they wanted?
Oh, it was just everything they've been pushing for the last 5 or 6 years that no one's listened to. They've just, coronavirus, they might listen to us now. No, because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I know that World Rugby, for a start, before we get into this, they are looking at how to make the breakdown safer.
Right.
So, Joe Smith.
Is that why they're pulling it up quite quickly now?
I think New Zealand possibly...
Are testing it out.
Well, I think New Zealand have possibly said, we think they'll go this way, so we might as well bring it in now rather than wait till next year.
Okay.
So I know that's going to happen. What I would say is, I don't think you should change the rules too much unless it's going to improve your game.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, there's no point changing rules that are vastly different to world rugby rules, because it'll kill you internationally.
Well, would you?
But if you look at our weaknesses, New Zealand's biggest weakness, in my opinion, is we give way too many penalties away.
At the breakdown?
At the breakdown or in general.
Right.
And therefore, that ends up leading England or Wales or whoever's got a great kicker to keep them into the game. So I would say to you, and I know I've spoken to you about this, I would say, why not just say, like in basketball, you could get penalised out of the game as a player. You get 3 penalties in a game, you're off the pitch and you can't come back on, but you can be replaced.
I think 3 is too few.
Too few.
Yeah.
4.
I reckon, 4 or 5.
Yeah, because we do know in rugby you can get penalised
for not actually being the bloke who's done the.
Now, if you've played basketball, you'll know as soon as you get up to your limit, you literally just do not do anything wrong.
Yeah.
That would really, for me, dramatically. Now, I would.
But if you were a bloke on 4, let's say it was 5, you were a bloke on 4, I'd run at you to try and force you to make it. A mistake.
And that's why players would have to really be careful throughout the whole game and play a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
I reckon force too much. And I'll tell you the reason why force too much. Most teams are trying to keep themselves down to 10 penalties in a game. So if you can say 4, then really, it's half. Basically, not quite. I obviously can count, but it's so maybe. I do get what you're saying. You need to be careful, but players will just have to get. If it's 3, it's 3.
Oh, nah, 3's
Dane Coles would be off all the time, wouldn't he?
All the time.
So that's my first change I'd make. Now, we did talk about knock-ons, but that would be, again, way too much of a change to do that. I would look also at bringing in the referees. And I know I've spoken about this before, but I think it's time for players to be able to challenge the referee's decision. But referees having to make the call.
Well, they did actually, didn't they, on one of the games? They instead of going upstairs, he asked both touchies.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was going to go upstairs, but then he said, no, we all agree, I'm giving the try.
And I think that's great.
Yes, I think
but there needs to be a mechanism that then stops an absolute howler happening, which they use in cricket, which is the review system, which they use in tennis, which is the review system.
They use it in hockey as well, actually.
Yeah, in hockey. Yeah. It adds something to the game.
Yeah.
But what it does is it speeds up the game because they've got to make a decision. They can't keep going upstairs.
Yeah.
They go upstairs for foul play. They go upstairs for tries being scored.
Yeah.
You think about cricket, the only time they go up is for a run out. And if you've played cricket, it's very, very hard to give a run out prop out. So you do need to check. But, if it's LBW, then they've got to say out or not. And then the players have the opportunity to review.
That's right.
As the New Zealanders know. As the Australians know.
Yeah.
You got to use your reviews wisely.
Yeah.
Oh, remember the World Cup, mate, final.
Let's not talk about it.
Let's not talk about it.
Right, next one.
Maybe a line-out clock, just to keep the game flowing a lot. I just don't think the line-out's a massive issue. Oh, I just pressed the button by mistake.
Village.
I was wrong. And one other thing I've mentioned about is maybe trying to look at scrums and the amount of time taken with scrums does kill a game. So maybe looking at when to have a scrum and when to give a free kick. And the only other one...
I do like a scrum.
I love a scrum. Do you know the only thing that really winds me up, though, is...
I think with the scrum, they need to... As soon as the knock-on happens with the penalty or the scrum, stop time, scrum goes in, and then the time starts when the ball goes in.
Yeah.
Because then you're cutting out a lot of time wasted there.
Would you then make the game shorter, though?
No.
Because it's actually the spectacle, mate. It's the spectacle. So that's not going to help the spectacle.
No, but realistically, how many scrums are there in a game?
Oh, Super Rugby, not that many. But you go international rugby, there's so many. You're talking about, they'll have 3 or 4 reset scrums in a row.
Yeah, no, but if you've stopped time... There won't be that much time wasting, especially in that last sort of 10 minutes.
Oh, and I understand that. I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
But I just think...
Yeah, but what's an extra 5 minutes time off where you could still be watching 5 minutes of extra rugby?
I just think there's so much time. The games go on for so long now. You're talking about a game that's 80 minutes long that goes on for at least 2 hours. At least 2 hours. And you're thinking there's so much time, as you say, which I do think is an issue, with ball out of play.
Yeah.
And so little time ball in play.
Yeah.
I think you need to look at it and say, we need to have more time with ball in play. How can we do that? And not having as many scrums would mean there'd be way more time ball in play. I think the scrums are the issue. Scrums and penalties. So if you can try and, I don't think get rid of scrums, and I don't think get rid of penalties, but I think you need to try and sand them down a little bit so you have fewer scrums and give away fewer penalties. One way that you can do that with the penalties is have a good one for scrums, right? To minimise scrums. If it's a knock-on, play on for next play. If the opposition can win the ball back, it's advantage over. They play advantage forever. Yeah. Someone knocks the ball on and they literally play advantage forever, and then they'll go, oh no, even though you've won the ball back, you've won the ball back, even though you've gone forward 10 metres, although you've recycled twice, you still haven't had an advantage. As soon as you win the ball and it's good quality ball, you've got an advantage. Yeah. And the same thing with a penalty, unless it's certain penalties like...
They can go on for ages, can't they?
Think of the penalty. Is it worth then bringing the game back? If it's a player offside, it doesn't affect the game. They say advantage player offside, but it hasn't really affected the game.
No.
Well, just give them a small advantage, and then if they make a break, you say, okay, advantage over. I think that would be a massive, massive improvement as well.
Anyway.
Second listener's question. This is from Paul Thomas from...